the museum this morning and to the house where he was born, and saw these paintings I'd never seen. I've seen, I knew some of his work, obviously, but not these particular ones of the creation there. So that was very special. One of the things I should have said, actually, at the Q&A with all the students there, is that one of the ways I work, and I would recommend it to any filmmaker, is we have a script, which is words, dialogue and description. But we also have another script, which is visual images, which we collect from magazines, from art galleries, from, there can be images that you directly want in the film or things to inspire characters. There's a great Portuguese-British artist, Paula Rego, who is clearly influenced by Diego Rivera and Frida Kahlo. And she's someone who we use to inspire. We often give pictures of her work to actors and say, that's the character. Don't dress like that, but mentally, that's the character. So we use it like that to create this book, this Bible of images. And we show that to the crew and the cast. And for me, I carry it around all the time for inspiration. The most important thing of all is character. 99% of an audience go to watch actors play characters. They're not interested in who's directed it. I mean, the small group you are, because you're sophisticated, cine-literate people. Maybe. But most people don't care. They don't care who directed it, who wrote it. They just want to see an actor play something that they recognise, that they hate, or they love, or they aspire to, or they want to be like that, or they want to see that person crushed and then rise again. So character is actually the most important thing. I love story and I love technique, but actually character is the most important thing. That your character is coherent and recognisable, and recognisably ourselves. So that's what you learn all the time. It's that.
Bueno, hubo dos respuestas ahí, o tal vez tres, pero uno era sobre un libro que él hace cuando él está en el set. Él colecta las imágenes que inspiran a sus personajes, a sus actores. Entonces puede ser pinturas de un artista que no necesariamente quiere que se visten así, pero quiere que esa es la esencia del personaje, porque tienen una actitud o tienen un sentimiento. Entonces él colecta estas imágenes en un libro, fotos y demás, y él siempre lo trae con él durante el rodaje y él lo comparte con sus actores, con su crew, con todos, para que todos estén en la misma línea. Y en segunda parte era sobre realmente lo que él siente que es la esencia, son los personajes y la construcción del personaje. Y porque 90% de las audiencias van al cine a ver actores. Ustedes que son gente de cine sofisticada, pues obviamente van porque es un película de Danny Boyle o quien sea, pero realmente el público en general van porque es un actor conocido, y lo que realmente entraña una película a la gente es un buen personaje.
No, I haven't seen Gravity yet, but I made a film in space, so I know what Alfonso has been through. It's tough making those space movies, really tough.
Que no ha visto Gravity, pero sí sabe lo que Alfonso experimentó, porque él también hizo una película del espacio y son películas muy difíciles, y espera verlo. You know Alfonso?
Yeah, well, yes, I'm not very well. I've met him a few times. I remember seeing A Little Princess when they first released it, and I thought that'll be a massive hit, and it wasn't. But everybody loved it so much, they kept re-releasing it to try and make it, because it was so unfair that it wasn't a massive hit. It's a beautiful, beautiful film. So I love his work, yeah.
Sí lo conoce, lo conocí un par de veces, pero sí vio su película La Pequeña Princesa desde hace mucho, y pensó que iba a ser un hitazo, y vio que los estudios lo seguían sacando y sacando, porque no podía creer él ni nadie más que no podía ser un gran éxito esta película desde su inicio. Okay.
Chigarito. It's good. I mean, obviously he should play more. I don't know why he doesn't play more. I mean, maybe he'll get more chances this year, but he's obviously decided to stay. And he must play more. He's a wonderful player. But obviously, they don't want, the big teams they don't want the little guy up front, you know? Even though he'll score, like Michael Owen used to for England and Liverpool. He will always score goals, you know? So I look forward to seeing him play more, for sure. Yeah.
Me contaba, está un poco decepcionado que no jugaba más este año. Él espera que ya se va a quedar, aparentemente, sí se queda, al menos un año más. Entonces espera que sí va a poder jugar más. La bronca es que muchos de estos grandes clubes de fútbol no les gusta tener este delantero tan pequeño. Entonces eso es un problema, pero cuando él está ahí, pues él produce goles y es un talento, obviamente.
Yeah, it's very interesting. We stay very close with our screenwriters. Okay. In fact, we try and get them to act parts in the film. So there's a reason for them to be on the set, because there often isn't. And they come to the set because I want them to come and they're bored. Because, you know, it's just technical and, you know, there's nothing for them to do. So I try and get them to act. So John Hodge was in Trainspoting, he was in Shallow Grey, Frank Cottrell Boyce was in Millions. I always try and, Irving Welsh was in Trainspoting. I try and get them on, you know, involved in the film if I can. So I like to have them around. It's interesting, we were talking about character. I wrote the first couple of drafts of 127 Hours because Simon Beaufoy, who'd written Slumdog Millionaire, couldn't see how to adapt the book. I had an idea of how to do it, and so I wrote it. And then I gave it to him and he said, oh yeah, I can see what to do now. And he added character, which I couldn't provide. I mean, I can write, you know, the guy's name and events that happened to him, but character, the moment where you recognise yourself in that person, you know, the familiarity moment where you go, I believe that's a human being that I recognise. Writers do it. And then actors fulfill it, act it out. But, and that's why I don't think of myself as a screenwriter. I can do structure, and I can do action sequences and dynamic stuff, and, you know, and I love talking to writers, but I can't write character, you know, it's, yeah. Sorry.
No, do.
Translate your own answer. That worked.
Pues la pregunta era sobre los escritores y él dice que intenta incorporar a sus escritores en el set, intenta hasta ponerlos como personajes en sus películas, con pequeños personajes, con pequeños repartos. Y él también, él dice que él mismo no se considera él un escritor, un guionista, pero él hace toda la estructura, él puede armar una secuencia de acción. Y él armó los primeros 3 borradores de 127 horas, pero lo que a él le faltó es este elemento del personaje, y eso se lo pasó al guionista, y él fue el que metió toda esta dinámica, todo lo que es atrás de los personajes, ¿no? Y lo que él simplemente no tiene ese... ¿Perdón?
No tiene toda la práctica.
Sí, entonces él te puede dar la estructura, te puede dar la acción, te puede dar la trama, pero el personaje, él busca un guionista que aporte eso.
Films are made in the editing room.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Every single film for you?
I'm afraid.
Las películas están hechas en la cabina de edición.
That's all I can tell you. I love filming.
Yeah.
And I love working with the screenwriter beforehand, and I love rehearsing, and I love the shooting. But whatever anybody tells you, films are made in the editing room. The decision to put that scene or that shot of that person next to that person at that moment, it's everything. And they don't become famous like cinematographers.
Yes.
Because I was thinking, there's lots of Mexican cinematographers, aren't there?
Yes.
What's his name? Oh, God.
Lubezki.
There's so many cinematographers, but Mexican editors. I mean, you'll know them, but the world won't know them. The world knows the Mexican cinematographers because cinematographers are good at promoting themselves. But and they believe they are behind the director. They believe they're number one.
Yeah.
Actually, the truth is the editor. for me.
Wow.
It's the truth of it. It's controversial, but it's true. I think.
Entonces, él le encanta todo el proceso del cine, desde hacer guión, ensayar y filmar, pero él realmente piensa que la película se termina o se realiza en la etapa de edición, en postproducción, y también piensa que los héroes olvidados del cine realmente son los editores. Hay muchos cinematógrafos muy buenos que son muy protagonistas, que son muy buenos para promocionarse a ellos mismos porque se ve todo en pantalla, pero él piensa que el héroe desconocido es el editor.
I don't know whether I can't guarantee it'll become a film. We're working on it.
Okay.
But we did this play at the National Theatre called Frankenstein, where we swapped the actors. And as part of that rehearsal process, I took the actors to an autopsy. And that started it, seeing that. It's a really profound experience. I mean, some people find it very upsetting, and there is a moment where you go, whoa, especially the smell, it's like, whoa, for a moment, but then it's fine. And you realise it's something that connects us all with, really. And so and then I read this book, Ingenious Pain, which is actually about an early surgeon who has a gift for surgery. And I became fascinated by it and began to research it. And we owe so much to them, and a lot of people went through a lot of pain as they found out what to do with us, I mean, they were actually experimenting on people. They were doing surgery in China, thousands of years ago, but then it sort of died out, and it just it really resurrected itself in what we call in the West the Enlightenment, and it was a pathway then to the discovery of antiseptic and anesthesia, and then eventually, heart transplants, brain surgery, everything that we can do now. So it's fascinating, I think.
Entonces él dice que para entrenar a su equipo durante la producción de una obra de Frankenstein, él los llevó a una autopsia, y eso fue como la primera vez para él y para varios ver el cuerpo real, el cuerpo muerto real, y los órganos y todo, y los olores. Y para mucha gente era como muy difícil, pero después de un rato ya se acostumbraron. Y que también hay un libro, Ingenious Pain, que también trata sobre este tema de alguien de esta época que hacía este tipo de cirugía de un nivel muy primitivo, y también que en China pues estaban haciendo estos tipos de cirugías hace 3.000 de años, entonces pues ya es algo que está muy presente en nosotros, es algo que estamos conectados nosotros, y él quiere plasmar esta parte de la historia.
You try to work unself-consciously. They're the best moments when it's kind of just flowing, really.
Entonces de trabajar de una manera subconsciente para que solo está como saliendo muy naturalmente.
So you're not aware of style, though obviously sometimes you are. It's best to not be aware of it and to try and tell the story in as natural a way as possible. You just feel it should unfold like this.
Entonces no estás esperando no estás pensando en el estilo, estás buscando una manera natural para contarlo.
You're always trying to make the journey unexpected, and you've got to kind of, you're constantly trying to refresh people in watching it, and so that leads to a style where you're trying always to be just ahead of the audience. You can't get too far ahead, or they're lost. But if you're just ahead, it's exciting, because you feel them being pulled forward with you. That's, I think, why.
Pues la idea es llevar a la audiencia en un viaje, y siempre hay que estar un poquito adelante de la audiencia para que ellos no sepan lo que está pasando o lo que va a pasar, entonces hay como más emoción de esa manera.